really super thrilled and have all this talent, all this charitable focus and everything that you're devoting yourselves to. I'm just so happy to be able to do anything to support you and help you out. We're very like-minded here in the museum. What we work to do here is make every single day Veterans Day, every single day Memorial Day. The museum is really not at all about the vehicles. What we're doing is we're making, we have two major focuses. The first focus is to honor the service and sacrifice of our veterans and their families. As all of you know, I don't need to tell you, such a small percent of the American population are veterans. It's a declining percentage. Only about less than 0.5% of Americans are serving in the military, and we've got to keep people like me who did not serve connected with those of you who did, and with those of us who are serving. So that's the first thing, and the best way to be connected is to tell the stories of American veterans and help people understand a little bit about the sacrifices of families, not only when the veterans are deployed, but as people come back from their military experience with the experiences that they're going to carry with them the rest of their lives, that their hope and their families are going to participate in helping them carry it. So we really emphasize military service affects every member of the family for the rest of those people's lives, and my goodness, do we ever owe a huge debt to our veterans, and do we ever need to fully fund all of our veterans programs, and do we ever need to make every single day Veterans Day. So we set the tone a little bit. Now we've got the sun in our eyes, but I always like pointing out this first quote. If you get close enough to see it, it's the George Washington quote about willingness of young people to serve in future wars, no matter how justified, will be in direct proportion to how they perceive the nation has treated and appreciated its veterans. So that starts to get people thinking about what it is that we're doing here, and then there's a progression to these quotes. Again, the sun's in our eyes, so we're not getting the best view, but we talk about, peace through strength. We have a focus on diversity and inclusion. We have a quote from the first female four-star general officer, Ann Dunwoody, saying this is no longer a band of brothers, this is a band of brothers and sisters. And throughout the museum, you'll see it's usually pretty subtle, but you'll see us reaching out to people from every life experience that might come into the museum. We want everybody to see people with their background remembered and honored. So we got Jesse Brown. We don't have a quote on, we again, just kind of you look through and you say, hey, I know something about that, and just no matter what experience you're coming from when you see the museums.
Alan Mangan's my name. I'm a Marine Colonel, retired. I served with, I was in the class of 1983, United States Naval Academy. Served with the Marines from 1983 to 2013, and then retired from the Department of Defense in 2021. So now I'm fully retired. My wife and I live in Defusky Island, South Carolina. My hometown is Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Well, at our 35th reunion, so the class of '83's 40th reunion is this year. 5 years ago at our class reunion, our leader here, our team leader of this big bicycling group, Mr. John Holtz, introduced the idea of doing a ride across America for our 40th reunion. And over the course of 5 years, we have done 1 week for 4 years, where we did a leg of this long odyssey. And 2 years ago, in 2021, we came through Du Bois and visited the museum. So this is for some of us, for many of us, this is our second trip here. And John really has been the leader, and he's inspired the whole class to participate in this in one way or another. So on the ride today, we have roughly 30 of us riding our bicycles and driving the SAG vehicles. And throughout the entire ride, from beginning to end, over a course of 44 days, anywhere from, at the low end, 20 people to the high end, 60 people will be participating as bicyclists and support drivers. As part of the ride, it's not just about the bicycle ride and the homecoming reunion, it's also about each one of us contributing and the group contributing as a whole to several veterans organizations. So as a class, we're contributing to the Naval Academy Foundation, and as individuals, we have selected a veterans service organization or veterans charitable organization to support. I chose the Travis Manion Foundation. Travis Manion was a Marine lieutenant who was killed in Al Anbar in 2007. I served in Al Anbar in 2008, and it was quiet in 2008 because of the work and the battles that the Marines fought in Anbar in 2007 before I arrived.
So I'm Craig Husa. I'm from Fall City, Washington, which is outside of Seattle. I went to the Naval Academy from Spokane, Washington, across the state, which is where I grew up. And following the Naval Academy, I served as an officer on board a nuclear-powered submarine. The cause is great. We've got a variety of veterans causes that we're raising money for that are all doing important work. I'm working raising money for the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, which treats veterans that have traumatic brain injuries and struggle with post-traumatic stress, to help them live happy, productive lives and help their families support them. And so that's a big deal. Secondly, it's the camaraderie of my Naval Academy classmates. We graduated 40 years ago. We have such common experience. We all served, and being able to spend time together in a pretty intense way, bicycling across the country. It's not as easy as it might sound. There's a few mountains in between. And so that's huge. And then thirdly is just that, is seeing the country. It's the country that we all were sworn to serve and protect, and it's not only seeing the beautiful countryside, but the people. We've had the opportunity to meet many different local community members across the country, and they're fantastic. They really enjoyed meeting them and having the support of them. As we go across the country, we have a variety of classmates who don't have the time to do the whole thing, kind of come in and go out. And so we get to see different classmates and oftentimes their families as we're going across. We do stop and see classmates that live in particular areas, and in fact have a memorial service for at least one. And we do remember a number of our own fallen classmates as we're riding across. And I think that's really, really important. They may not be with us any longer, but we don't forget. Because veterans do a lot for us that we just goes without being seen. And for the most part, veterans don't tout it themselves. And coming through this museum, it was very special because my dad, being a veteran of the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, growing up, I knew he had been part of that war, but I figured he didn't do anything because he never talked about it. And it wasn't until some of the 50 and 60-year anniversaries of things that he started talking about it. And it really shocked me because this is my dad, and he never talked about what he had gone through. And so this is a way for us to help bring awareness of the veterans and all that they've done. One of the things we do is every morning is our 22 push-ups challenge, which is in recognition of all the suicides that happen every day from veterans and family members and active military that feel kind of outside. They fall outside the envelope and they don't feel that they have the need, that their needs being met in some ways, and that's the reality of it. And so we want to be able to reach out and bring all these people together and let them know that we do care, we do remember, and what they've done for us individually and as a country is important. This museum is stunning. The artifacts and the equipment that are here is unprecedented, which is one thing, but the way it is honoring the human side of all of our veterans who have served throughout the wars that are covered here and throughout our nation's history. That's what really makes it special, because it brings it to life. Because it is not just, it's the National Military vehicle museum, and phenomenal vehicles here, but it's really about the people who operate those vehicles and how they use them and how they sacrifice to keep our countries safe and free is what is really brought out in this museum in a very special way. If you don't walk through without some tears welling up in your eyes, I don't know how you do that.
Each individual on this ride, has selected, or most have selected a particular charity to ride for, and they're all great. So I'd say anybody looking at our Navy-cycling.com site, it's all great. I'm raising for a organization called C.C. Taylor Foundation, and it is a veteran-led, faith-inspired organization that takes leadership principles from the military and it focuses it on mentoring and education for youth in underserved areas. Dan talked about diversity and inclusion, and it really has a great focus in that area, and its education includes seminary if they pursues like pastoral studies, or regular education for the normal curriculums that most colleges offer. So it's been exciting to be part of that effort because it's education related.
And one other thing about yours, they also use the chaplains, retired chaplains.
Oh yeah,
that's a secondary part of that.
So you think about chaplains that have served in the military for 30 years, and now they can go and serve in corporate America using the same skill sets.
So I am supporting Naval Services Family Line, and it's been around since 1965. It was started by a group of spouses that wanted to give information of how to deal with deployment, how to deal when at that time it was the husband comes home, but how to deal with families while you're away, where are all the medical information, how do you deal with the family life of someone that is at home by themselves with the kids. But now it's expanded to all genders, and it's diverse, but we still want to help those spouses, and the nice thing about it is it's led by volunteers. There's over 200 volunteers. A lot of it's education, resources, mentoring, and it's something that can really help these spouses to unify.
And I would say, as a person who has deployed multiple times, knowing that families can get resources like this has been a huge help to help families learn about how to cope with the separations.
And of course, this organization, I was the chairman in 2016 to 19, so we're just getting into trying to make more things online, and COVID forced that, but we do have inline classes that are in person too, and then also through Zoom to help these spouses.
Yeah, I'm blown away. There was a lot of hype coming to it that was pronounced about how articulate, how elegant, how detailed, but now to come in and see it, and to see Dan's thumbprint and actually giving the tour, and the personalization of the stories, and the way it is affected, like you're almost there. So very top notch, and just really blown away.
Yes, that's exactly the way I feel. I was just amazed that Mr. Stark is just describing these stories in such detail and understanding how the feelings of the people there. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate all he's
And this is what
doing
the
to make it real for us.
What the American public needs to understand, or should I say, it's available for them to understand, to learn more about our history. We're very honored that Dan has taken time to host us. We're very honored that he sees the importance of what we're doing. It really invigorates us. This is our maintenance day of our 44-day ride. It just so happened to be here, and to get this injection, so not only do we do maintenance on our equipment, we get kind of a personal injection of passion to continue to ride on and serve.
Okay. We became involved in this actually 5 years ago when John Holtz, who is one of my husband's best friends, who's also a class of '83 grad, mentioned it at a reunion about wouldn't it be cool to ride across country for veterans' causes. And our family is very patriotic. My husband is a veteran, my dad was a veteran, his dad was a veteran, our oldest son was a Marine, and our youngest currently serves in the Navy. The Naval Academy has done a lot for my husband and our youngest son. And during that time, our youngest son was at the academy. They sent him to be an exchange student in China because he minored in Chinese. And that changed his life. And it was a good investment because now he was on submarines, but they have sent him to the Defense Language Institute in Monterey to be what's called an FAO, a Foreign Affairs Officer with a specialty in Chinese. That wouldn't have happened if some previous grad donor did not write a check for that exchange to happen. And so we are all over raising money for the Naval Academy Foundation. They do so many good things for so many students, of which our family benefited. The two of us plan the meals and the SAG stops, and I mean, I love to cook, so what ingredients do we have to make our dollars stretch and make something different for the guys? For 44 days of writing, cold cuts every day would be pretty boring. This, first of all, the gentleman who's giving the tour, the man who started the whole thing, he is one of the best. This is one of the best tours I've ever been on. And when I was in college, I was a tour guide at the San Diego Wild Animal Park, so I know what goes into studying for things. But this has been just out of the ball field, wonderful experience. My husband has already told me we're becoming members, and I want to buy whatever his guidebook is or his video is, and we have a lot of veteran friends, and I want to share the news and even maybe buy tickets for my son and daughter-in-law to come out here and witness this when they have the time. It is absolutely phenomenal.
My name is Richard Woodford. I am a member of the U.S. Naval Academy Class of 1983. I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, went right into the Navy. Current hometown is Alexandria, Virginia. From the Academy, I went into the surface warfare community, so driving ships. I was on USS Gary, FFG 51, a guided missile frigate, and I also had the honor of being the second in command or the executive officer of Old Ironsides, USS Constitution, home port in Boston, Massachusetts. Right across America, so the vision was started 5 years ago at our 35th reunion at the Academy. John Holtz said, I have this vision for something really, truly epic at our 40th, and I see us dipping our wheels in the Pacific Ocean and then bicycling across the U.S. so that we end up at Annapolis in time for homecoming and dipping the front wheels of the bicycles in the Severn River, which connects to the Chesapeake, which connects to the Atlantic. So literally going from Pacific to Atlantic, Washington to Washington, if you will. And I was one of the skeptics at the time, thinking, nah, who's going to have time for that? But I'm pleased and very proud of my classmates to be part of this epic homecoming effort. I'm the person that's driving the 5-ton, 26-foot box truck with all the luggage and spare bikes. And the challenge for me personally is just taking in all the beauty of America and keeping my eyes on the road to make sure that I get to the next city in one piece. But super proud of my classmates, male and female. Some wives and spouses are also joining the ride. And we're here to raise awareness of veterans issues and pay it forward with some fundraising. The way the fund is set up, folks can go to our website, www.navy-cycling.com. And when you go to the website, you'll be able to see where we are. They post daily videos of the ride every day. And I think we're up to 26 or so different veteran charities that people can actually designate money to go. My roommate, Michael Kors, is riding for the Naval Academy Foundation, but there's a variety of causes that people can sponsor. We do a 22 push-up challenge in the morning to honor and remember those who we lose every day, 22 veterans, and that's unacceptable. So we want to raise the public's awareness and also just reach out and help keep each other in the loop. And the other thing that we do is we tell the story of why we're doing this, because freedom isn't free, and service before self. Non sibi sed patria, right? That's not for self, but for country. We all volunteered, we're still serving, and I can't think of a better way to spend my retirement than doing this.